Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Inshallah, we'll begin in just 30 seconds. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina astafa. خصوصا على سيد الرسل وخاتم الأنبياء وعلى آله الأزكياء وأصحابه الأتقياء أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the Aubrey community. I hope everyone is doing well, inshallah. I hope everyone is safe at home. And I hope everyone, inshallah, is doing their best to be able to follow these guidelines. You know, I know it's getting more and more difficult. Every single day that we spend at home, it becomes more and more difficult for us to feel like we need to just keep following and listening. But it's very important for us to always be mindful of the fact that the people who are in positions of leadership, as much as we may disagree with them on things, especially within our masajid, especially our Muslim brothers and sisters, it's very important for us to always listen to what our leadership says. When you talk about this idea of tawakkul, it's in many ways related to this whole situation of, you know, corona that we've been dealing with, because tawakkul in and of itself, it's very easy for us to kind of say, yeah, I have tawakkul on Allah. I have, you know, I do what I'm supposed to do. I pray, I fast. I spent the whole month of Ramadan doing that. You know, so I don't understand how do I not have tawakkul? But the brothers and sisters, we need to understand that tawakkul is something that is a state of being. It's a mindset, right? It's a way of living our lives. The Prophet ﷺ, when a man came to him and he asked him that, you know, should I tie my camel? And the man said to the Prophet ﷺ, أعقلها وأتوكل أو أطلقها وأتوكل. So he said, Ya Rasulullah, should I leave it and should I just have reliance on Allah, or should I tie it up and then have reliance on Allah? The Prophet ﷺ said, no, it's the latter. You should do your part, do what you're supposed to do, and then, you know, rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But you see, the thing is that reliance, I want you to think about something for a moment. You know, that reliance is so key, because when you talk about tying something up, right, it doesn't matter if you tie something up, in the sense that it may very well still escape. There are so many things that have been tied up. The rope broke, it was too loose, whatever it might be. There's so many things, right? As an example, we're thinking about it as a metaphor. But the point is that you have no guarantees in this life. So whether you tie something or whether you don't tie something, it doesn't mean that you're going to absolutely get what you expect from doing that action. And so for us, it's foolish to think that just because we do our part, we'll be you know, protected from something completely. There is no completely that exists, right? Guarantees don't exist in that sense of the word, which is to say that nothing nothing in this life that exists in the future is promised to us. Whether it's a minute more of life, whether it's a event that we're hoping to have, or whatever it is that we might expect in the future, children, friends, family, all these things are not guaranteed, right? And so we do our part, and then that big part, the biggest part, we may think, and many times we do think, that the hardest and biggest part of that equation is doing the tying, right? Is doing our part. But actually, the hardest part of that equation is to have reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He'll take care of me. And that means that whether it's something I see as good, if it happens to me, then I am happy with it. If something I see as bad happens to me, then I'm happy with it even still. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentions it, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ إِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ خَيْرٌ. That I am astounded, the Prophet ﷺ said, by the affairs of the believer, that every single thing that happens for the believers is good for them, right? Every single thing. And he said, وَلَيْسَ ذَلِكَ لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. This is for nobody except for the true believer, the mu'min, right? The sincere believer. إِن أَصَابَتْهُ سَرَّاء شَكَرَ. If something good happens to him and he's thankful for it, she's thankful for it, this is good for them, right? فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ. This is good for that person. وَإِنْ أَصَابَتْهُ ضَرَّاءُ صَبَرَ, that if some difficulty befalls them, some hardship, some problem, and they're patient, فَكَانَ خَيْرًا لَهُ, this is good for that individual, right? So this is the key, understanding and recognizing, number one, we may do something that we think is important. We think that we're doing our part. Whatever it is our part is in this equation, we do that. But that's not the hard part. The hard part is, in fact, trusting and knowing that whatever happens in spite of us doing our part, whatever happens after us doing our part, this is good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is the hardest thing to recognize. I want you to think about something for a moment. And this is in the public conscience. And if it's not in your conscience, it should be. But currently, the situation that's happening in Minnesota, I want you to take a moment and understand something, okay? And I want you to probably think about this in a way that maybe not everybody has been. What happened was horrific. And it's so obvious to anybody with even just an ounce of a brain that this was murder, right? That this was not appropriate use of force. And so when this happened, when this occurs, then you have this individual who committed this act. Okay. On the other side of it, okay, you have three other individuals, three other police officers or former police officers who were just standing around not doing anything at that time. Now, I want you to zoom out for a second, okay, and put yourself in this scenario. When things happen in life, we don't even realize that something significant is happening until afterwards. It's the reaction to it. It's what occurs because of what happened in that moment that we recognize that something significant happened. That man was not thinking that something significant is happening in his life. He's thinking about his future. He's thinking about when he's going to go home later tonight. He's thinking about what he's going to watch when he goes. He's going to think about all these other things, okay? Those other officers are thinking the same thing. They're thinking about their pensions, their retirement accounts. They're thinking about, well, what's I have to do this when I get home tonight. I have to do that. This is where their minds are, okay? And all of a sudden, a few hours later, these individuals are fired from the jobs that they've been working in for so long, okay? Who could have predicted that? Who possibly could have predicted that? We like to think that we control things. We like to think that we have these guarantees in life. But like I mentioned, there's no guarantees in life. People will tell you being a police officer is excellent in terms of job security. But guess what? Within a matter of hours, these individuals were fired from their jobs. There have been doctors who had years and years and years of experience who lost their licenses because of one bad prescription that they gave, because of one client that they had, one patient that they had, who just caused them endless grief. They lost their license. They weren't able to practice anymore. Now they had to shift their entire lives completely, right? All these things are for us to recognize that in life, there are no guarantees. You can work hard. You can get the degree you need to get. You can go out and work in your field and your job for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden, in the span of 6 minutes, all of that can be undone in the span of 6 minutes, right? But the mu'min's reaction to this, brothers and sisters, is very different from an individual who does not have this recognition in their hearts. The mu'min's reaction is, in asabatu darra sabara fakana khayran. The mu'min's understanding of this situation is that, okay, something awful has happened. This is my time to be patient. I don't know how I'm supposed to do it. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this moment. I don't know anything of what I'm supposed to do right now. All I know is I'm supposed to be patient. That doesn't mean I don't react. That doesn't mean I don't feel sad. That doesn't mean I don't feel upset. All these things are absolutely fine, but the question of patience, brothers and sisters, we don't yell and scream to the world, look what's happening to me. This is so awful. Why are you doing this to me? God, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? We don't scream those things. In these moments, rather, we just take a deep breath. Inni ashku ila Allah. If we complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ya Allah, I don't know what's happening right now. I'm scared. I'm worried. I'm concerned. I don't know how I'm supposed to keep the lights on. I don't know how I'm supposed to pay the bills. I bought a house and I was expecting to be here for years and years and years. Ya Allah, what am I supposed to do now? My family isn't going to be able to be provided for. What am I supposed to do right now, Ya Allah? Right? In this moment. And that's not easy. But see, that's the idea of sabr. Sabr is not simply just being silent, is not just being, oh, okay, let me just pretend like I don't feel anything, because you're going to feel things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has never once told us to deny that aspect of our nature, that we are emotional beings, that we are emotional creatures. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has never once told us to deny that part of ourselves. But the question is how we express that. That's what we're told to put a lid on, to rather not even put a lid on, but to be mindful of. Okay, and that's the big difference. Okay, all of this goes back to the bigger picture for us, right? The situation that we're in right now, this idea of reliance, of tawakkul, is the hardest thing. Okay, it is the absolute hardest thing for us to be able to sit there and say, I don't know what's happening. I don't know when I'm going to be able to pray Jumu'ah again. I don't know when I'm going to be able to go out and just, live life normally again. But this is what my leaders in my masjid are saying. This is what my, the scholars are saying. This is what, the other communities are doing. And so we're going to listen. We're going to obey. Sami'na wa ata'na. And we are going to follow and be the best that we can be at that. Even if we don't understand it, even if we don't get it, we put these people in positions of leadership. This individual is a scholar, and I recognize that a scholar, if they make a judgment, as the Prophet ﷺ said, if they make a judgment and they're incorrect, they get one reward. And if they make a judgment and they are correct, they get 2 rewards. See, that's key for us to understand. That's what's most key for us to understand is that while we may think I need to do X, Y, and Z, I need to perform this action, it's not about us. It's about listening. It's about doing what we're supposed to do. What is my role? If I'm in a position of leadership, my job is to make hard decisions. My job is to have to live in a certain way that is not like everybody else, because I don't get that privilege as a leader, right? And so all of that then ties to, if I'm in a position of following, if I am just a community member, my job is to listen. My job is to support those people who are making difficult decisions. My job is to make dua for those people who have to make difficult decisions. My job is to make dua for all of this to end. Right? And so as time passes, we will see things begin to change. We will see things begin to come to normal. But the problem that you see right now is that there's so many individuals out there who are fighting against this, acting as if this is the end of the world in some ways, whereas it's not. It's just that things have to be this way for now. This is the determination our leaders have made. And at some level, if we're talking about our masjid leadership, that's one thing, obviously, and beyond that, political leadership is harder to trust realistically. But at some level, we have to recognize that this is being done. It cannot be being done to just hurt certain people. Like there's a line, right? There are enough good people in this world, even amongst politicians. Somehow, Allah knows best, but somehow there are enough people with just an ounce of a conscience that this would not be being done if it didn't have to be being done. It wouldn't be being propagated if it didn't have to be being done, right? And so we do what we can. We do our part. For us, whether that's staying home, whether that's being careful when we go out, whether that's making sure that we're advising people not to share crazy stories and conspiracy theories. We do our part, and then we trust Allah. That's the hard part. We trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That in these moments we think to ourselves, you know what, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how I'm supposed to deal with this. I don't know how I'm supposed to react to this. Inni atawakkalu ala Allah. I trust God. That's it. That's the best thing I can do right now. And so that's what we do. We do our part, like I mentioned, and then we trust Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And That's where we leave it. We don't get caught up in craziness. We don't get caught up in conspiracy. We don't get caught up in nonsense. We do our part and we trust Allah, and that's it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us all the tawfiq to be able to act on this. We ask Him to forgive us for our shortcomings. We ask Him to allow us to find a cure for this disease very soon. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بارك الله فيكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.